All right, here we have a teacher who's made a Reddit post. The tale from this teacher is they went into administration and it was a mistake. They regretted it. Let's read this post. I've been a successful teacher for over 10 years, and last spring my principal approached me about being a vice principal this year. He talked up the need for fresh ideas, strong leadership, building a good team, etc. I was flattered and felt like I could really make a difference. Plus, the pay raise would help my family. I figured that having spent a decade observing this administrative team, I could only make life better for the teachers and kids. This would be easy, right? Wrong. It was awful. As a teacher, I had my classroom and the love of students and the friendship of colleagues. Now, nada. Just a bunch of angry constituents coming at me from all sides all the time. Sometimes the teachers are even worse than the kids, petty infighting and not following basic job requirements. It has been absolutely miserable. I am resigning next week to take effect at the end of the school year. So, to all of you great teachers out there who love teaching, don't take the admin bait. It's not worth it. All right, so there's a lot to unpack there, and this is not an unfamiliar account from someone who's left the classroom to go into administration. First off, I want to say that the reason that this person got into administration was good. I love it. You know, you want a seat at the table, want to be able to influence the culture and build a good team and build a good environment for all students to learn, to be able to affect the lives of even more students, and also benefit the teachers as well, your former colleagues who you know so well. So the reason for getting into administration, this person's reasons were really good reasons. It sounds like a great person and a very effective administrator as well. And this person, I'm sure, as if they stayed in administration, they would have only improved just as they did as a teacher. And of course, you know, a nice pay raise, it does help your family. You know, that obviously that does impact your family, but ultimately the top reasons the person mentioned are just very good reasons for wanting to get into administration, because yes, there's more pay, but it's a lot more work. Just think about it. Whenever if you're a principal, there is at any moment there's something going on in that building, and ultimately you're going to have to step in to solve that problem at any moment. You can be in your office and enjoying your coffee, you're happy, the day is just very happy, but there's something going on in that building that you're going to have to respond to. And you know, depending on what level you're working in, especially in high school, that can happen outside of school hours constantly. And a lot of it has to do with kids on their phones. So there are things that are going on that you're going to have to respond to, and those things are going to interrupt your day. So the pay is better, but I mean, there's just a lot more to do. Now, as it relates to relationships, the huge difference when you become an administrator. Well, let me talk about being a teacher. Being a teacher, those relationships with students are deep. They're very deep because you're spending large chunks of time with students on a consistent basis. So you know a lot about what's going on in the students' lives. And great teachers follow up with students about those things. They learn those things about students. They learn about who they are as a person, their likes, their dislikes, and they have those conversations. And so those relationships are deep. As a principal, the relationships aren't deep, but they're wide in terms of the number of students that you have relationships with. They don't go very deep, but it's wide. You know a lot of students, a lot of names, because they see you as one of the leaders in the building. And yeah, that's a downside of getting into administration. Definitely, I miss being able to go deep in terms of those relationships with students, and definitely with colleagues, it's different. I as a teacher, we're part of a department, and one of the things we would do, and I'm sure you guys do this as well, is we would huddle in the hallway during passing time, and we would talk. And one of the things we would talk about is we would talk about administration. Like, what are those people doing? They don't know what they're doing. Now, sometimes we would talk about the kids if they weren't around. Yeah, we did it. I know you do it as well. Let's all be honest here, okay? So we would have those conversations, and then when we would go eat lunch together, those relationships would be deep conversations because we're in this together. We have each other's back, and we have this shared experience. Now, with administration, you don't necessarily have that. There are fewer people on an administrative team, and so it's just different. It's different. It doesn't feel the same. So yes, I know exactly what this person is saying. And then on top of that, with the changes with those relationships, yeah, you do have to deal with a bunch of people who are angry, coming at you from both sides, and they're looking at you as the problem solver. And as an administrator, there are, your powers are limited, and so oftentimes solutions, they're unsatisfying for people, and you have to take the brunt of it. But that's part of the job. This person is definitely not lying when they mention that. Additionally, yeah, people, it takes all kinds of people to make a world. And it's just fascinating how, like, in my head, like now, just there's stories about teachers is flashing through my head. It's about teachers, yeah, just not doing basic stuff. Teachers being so rigid. Teachers just saying things to students in their classroom that just make you go like, oh, you said that. I can't believe you said that. But yeah, there's all kinds of juicy stories and details from teachers themselves, and it's just really interesting because you just can't believe it. You just won't believe it. It's like, you work so hard to get this teaching job, and you do these things, or you won't comply with this basic requirement. And anyways, so yeah, I think the biggest takeaway here is, this person is given their resignation, and they're gonna do what makes them happy, and I'm happy for them. Happy that they got the opportunity to find out and learn. So that's really good. But to those of you who are considering going into administration, what I will tell you is to definitely do some research, count the cost if this is something that you're considering. Because if you're doing it, if you search yourself, if you reflect and you find yourself doing it solely for the money, please stop. You are going to be very disappointed, and you're going to burn out. So that's my top advice. That's count the cost, do the research, understand what this means for you and your family if you make this jump. Because once you make the jump, you got to give it your all. You got to do it. You got to do it well, because teachers, students, staff members, they're all depending on you. You as a leader, it's your job to serve them so that they can accomplish the mission. And so if you were to get into this position, be disappointed, and let that disappointment affect your work, then that's not fair. That's not fair, and you're letting a lot of people down. So keep that in mind, and yeah, keep that in mind. Let's learn from this, and let's go forward. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.